Suck your mum, yeah, I said suck your mum.
Oh, I just don't. I despair. I really despair. It's just at this point. We literally were just saying, like, for the next 10 minutes, we just need to keep hold of the ball. Unbelievable. Rasmus can't believe it. I'm a maths teacher, and the probability that it's... Oh, my fuck. It's a penalty. It's going to get sent off
I shouldn't laugh, my teams. The timing of that.
as well. He might give him a second yellow. Oh, I don't fucking believe this. I really don't believe this. Is Casemiro gone as well? I think Casemiro's sent off. ONANA. Fucking hell, mate. I can't believe this. He's passed it to Mertens. Casemiro's tried to tackle him. It's a definite second yellow. If he's still on the pitch, he's jammy. He's gone. This is a fucking nightmare.
I could see that frustration building up in Goldbridge here.
This is a fuck. I'm just going to say it now. I never wanted to say it, but we never should have got rid of De Gea. Never should have got rid of De Gea. 17 clean sheets last season. There was nothing wrong with the defence, apart from this obsession from the fan base, who was clipping him up all the time, going, "We need a ball-playing keeper. We need a ball-playing keeper. Let me do another compilation on David De Gea. We need to do another. I don't care if he's got clean sheets. I've been putting this together. Look at this mistake. Look at him kicking it out. Look at him. Look at his bad passing out the back. We need a progressive goalkeeper. I don't care if he saves shots. I don't care if we keep clean sheets. We need a progressive goalkeeper."
I understand Mark's frustration. I've seen a lot of Man United fans talking about this online. A lot of them. We should have kept De Gea. The only person who I think makes an accurate point is Sunshine, who comes in our match reactions. And it's not because he thinks David De Gea would have been exponentially better than ONANA this year in goal, but he feels we should have spent the money in a different area up front, another goal scorer or another creator for the team, and fix that area first. And I think that's logical. But the idea that if De Gea was playing yesterday or De Gea was playing this season and we wouldn't have lost these 6 games, I think is wrong. There isn't a mistake made by ONANA in the last 10 games that we hadn't seen De Gea do consistently last season. And yes, we had more clean sheets and De Gea made some good saves. Of course he did. ONANA's made some good saves this season. But the reason we're conceding more goals is we're playing a higher line, we're more open, we're more expansive. And this team, whether it's through bad drills from the manager, a lack of motivation from the manager, whatever it may be, you'll all have a difference of opinion. They are struggling with the adaptation to Ten Hag's system. That is why the goals are being leaked. The whole De Gea's gone out, ONANA's come in, we're losing games. Correlation, causation, I don't personally think is there. He has been horrendous. He does deserve to be criticized. But his revisionism over the floundering David De Gea is crazy. The fact that David De Gea has not even been given no clubs come in for him yet. That should tell you all you need to know. We have to stop doing this as Man United fans. The revisionism is absolute, it kills us as far as I'm concerned. You remember we all said that we wouldn't leak goals and lose games if Maguire weren't playing anymore. That hasn't worked. A lot of people said if Pogba leaves, we'll be better. That hasn't worked. Drop Sancho, we'll be better. Hasn't worked. Anthony's been missing for many, many games. Haven't got any better down that right-hand side. And we can go back 10 years. We've been doing the same thing. We must not lose sight of the biggest problems at our club, in my personal opinion.
Some of these failings because of the fact that Manchester United has spent a hell of a lot of money on his watch, but also that a lot of the signings, 2/3 of them have either played for him before or they've been recruited after he's seen them in the Eredivisie. And as a result of that, you can tell that the responsibility for at least initiating some of those moves comes from him. He's wanted some of these players, but you're in a situation, and look, they've been unlucky with injuries because they've had Luke Shaw and Malacia both picking up an injury at the wrong time, and Wan-Bissaka, which means they haven't been able to shuffle Dalot across to left back and play Wan-Bissaka at right back. But you're playing Sofian Amrabat in his first 3 games for the club at left back.
Stan Matterface is right here. And as I've said, look, I think the revisionism of the players, even though there's real criticism that's needed there, This notion of drop him, play him, sell him, buy him, we're fixed is wrong. Equally, I don't just think sacking Ten Hag fixes us, even though I think he's staring down the barrel. The club might be coming out and saying they fully back him, but he is staring down the barrel. That isn't me wanting it. That's me being a realist. Equally, though, he deserves criticism. Yes, against Palace in the first game, Amrabat looked good at left back. We dominated the ball. We scored goals. We did. But in the last 2 games, his inability to defend has cost us. I'm not angry at Amrabat. He's playing completely out of position in his first 3 games for Man United, a club in a crisis. It's abnormal. The manager yesterday should have done this. Maguire should have been in the middle, Lindelof at right back, and Delo at left back. In my opinion, we maybe do not concede a couple of those goals. Equally, our lack of shape when we lose possession, it's either the manager's drills are poor or this team doesn't want to work hard enough to get back into shape. We have to work harder this year than last year. This season, we have to work harder than the last campaign because we're playing more expansively. We're pushing further forward, which means you have to bust a gut to get back into position when you are countered upon. And this team doesn't want to do it. The manager has to get them to do it. And a lot of the players that are starting games in the last 3 matches are his signings. Whether he bought them in or whether he has given them new and improved deals and made them captains, that is on the manager. And this is where Man United fans need to be very, very balanced. We can't just say, we all know at the end that the buck stops with the Glazers, but it doesn't mean players can't be criticised. It doesn't mean managers can't be criticised. We have to be balanced in this if we want to help our club. Drop your agendas, drop the polarisation, and be open and honest about the situations going on at Man United.
How dare you!
The last 2 games he's played in, he's been limping. Bournemouth game, leave him at home. You're not playing this game. You're going to play on Tuesday, and you're going to play against Manchester City. What is it? He's been involved in 87 Premier League games in a row.
Last year, 62 games he played, and he played a lot of those Europa League games, or featured in a lot of those Europa League games where I don't think that was necessary. If you go back to earlier in last season, I think he played in every single Europa League game in the group stages last year. Bearing in mind Arsenal were going for the title. Was that necessary?
Yes, it is. And I've listened to a lot of this Saka debate, and I've pushed back at certain people. I've kept my counsel in certain moments. I understand if he's limping, don't play him for a game. I kind of understand that notion. But a lot of these gooners and a lot of these Arsenal haters that have been gunning at this injury situation for a while, for me, they're just... Have you ever heard the old adage, if you throw enough... I won't swear. If you throw enough mud, some of it will stick. They've been saying for ages, we keep playing players like Saka too much, eventually he's going to get injured. Well, of course, because every single player in the history of football has always got injured at some point. But there are loads of players that play with injuries. Son right now is being praised to the hilt at Spurs. He's playing with an injury. I've heard legends of the past, whether it be Thierry Henry's, Ronaldo that's still playing the game, ex-Man United players, all played through injuries. This is not an abnormal thing. But when you don't like a club or when you don't like a manager, you make it bigger than it really is. And sometimes it doesn't go your way. But this notion that he's played too many games is ridiculous. And I had a little look today. Now, I'm not comparing his abilities to some of these players I'm about to mention, but we're talking about the talismanic leaders at clubs. So Lionel Messi in his pomp, when he was scoring his highest amount of goals, delivering the most for Barcelona, 53 games, 55 games, 60 games in back-to-back seasons. Okay? Cristiano Ronaldo at his pomp at Real Madrid, 55, 49, 54 games. Mo Salah at Liverpool, 40, 51, 51, 51 games in back-to-back seasons. Son at Spurs, 41, 51, 45, 47. You look at Thierry Henry at Arsenal, at his pomp, 49, 56, 51. You look at Bukayo Saka, 46, 43, 48. He's not playing. Saka is not playing abnormal amounts of games for one of the best talismanic players at a club. It's so normal. Now, I understand in this confined argument, maybe she should have been rested against Bournemouth. Maybe he could have come off a little bit earlier. Hold my hands up to that. But this is being taken too far. This idea that he can't play all these games in a row. Yes, he's played 87, I think, Premier League games on the bounce. But in the last 3 years, he's played a total of 5 FA Cup games in that time. He didn't kick a single ball in the EFL Cup last year, as an example. In 21-22, they weren't even in Europe to kick a ball. So that's where he's had his rest. How are people not seeing this? Look, he hasn't started a lot of the domestic cup games in the last 2 to 3 years. Two seasons ago, he didn't kick a single ball in Europe. So he only played that. Yes, he's played all the Premier League games, but it's because he isn't playing in a lot of the cup competitions. This weird notion that the Sakas of this world, the Odegaards of this world, the Salibas of this world, the writers of this world are going to play it's nonsense. If you go back through Arsenal's history and look at your greatest ever teams and greatest players within that, they're all playing the same amount of games and minutes that Saka's doing. The same for all top players at all top clubs. This is a fallacy argument. Yes, challenge, if he's got a little knock, rest him a bit more. Get that. But this idea that because he's played 80-odd games on the bounce in the Premier League, he's at higher risk of injury, well, so is everybody. But he gets rested in other competitions and always has done. This Arteta agenda and this Arsenal hate is weird to me. And look, they get their first moment of the season to go, see, I told you. First time in 10 games, they get to say, I told you so. And that will happen every 10 to 15 games to every team. It's crazy as far as I'm concerned. It's a madness.
Blah, 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 blah.
Final. Arsenal roll into town. It's like the biggest game they've probably played here, apart from playing PSG, in years. Right? So they're up for it. We could see it earlier on with their fans. So when fans and when anybody who's got that attitude that you can rest this player and rest that player because it's only Lons, well, this is what you get.
So Robbie's right. Lons were really good last night. I watched the extended highlights back afterwards. It was hard to watch that game whilst United were on. Our game was so crazy. My mind was fixated on that. Lons were really good. They kind of caught Arsenal on the chin, really. I thought Arsenal started well, and then Lons just got better and better. And that was with Arsenal's strongest team pretty much out there. You could argue not with Kai Havertz, I get that. They're really good. And I understand the criticism of the team, and I think that the manager and the players should be, reprimanded is the wrong word, criticized by their own team, by their own fans. What could you improve on next time? But I again see baby and bathwater being thrown out with Arsenal by some Arsenal fans, and I find it ridiculous. I find it ridiculous. We have seen Real Madrid win the Champions League in a season where they've been beaten by Sheriff. I believe that's true. I'm not saying this means Arsenal winning the Champions League. But again, the overreaction to a team that's one of the best performing sides in the Prem and is one of the top teams in Europe right now is crazy. Now, some will say, well, how do you know this? Well, they'll qualify from this group. They see what they do. They see how they grow as a team. But I do think you're right. If they'd have rested and rotated for today ahead of that City game and then would have lost, because they would have lost anyway. If they'd have taken 4 or 5 of their stars out and played lesser players, based on how good Lons were, they would have lost the game. And then they would have been criticized for rotating. Sometimes you just lose. You take your medicine, you learn from your mistakes. But this weird, polarized, baby out with the bathwater analysis is crazy to me. It's crazy.
Any better than what I've seen of Ramsdale? No. But I'll tell you what, for the last 2 years, I've watched us need an upgrade as a striker. Absolutely everything you needed there, like, you know what I mean, to see it. And you see it today, and there's no ruthlessness there. I heard someone turn around and go, yeah, Mikel's ruthless. Yeah, he's ruthless on a goalkeeper. He ain't ruthless on up front.
I understand this notion, but Arsenal's problem last season wasn't putting the ball in the back of the net. It's been one in games for them this campaign, there's no doubt. Martinelli's injured, not been scoring the goals. Saka's actual output's better. Jesus did score yesterday. And I understand the idea that if you had a world-class striker, you may have won today's game. I think that's fair, but it will come in time. I think that will come in time. I think in January, that might be an area that Arsenal go out there and look for a proper prolific goal scorer. I still think Arsenal wanted Ivan Toney this whole time, but just couldn't buy him in the summer. So they're waiting, but we'll see. But I do get the frustration here. And I want to ask people this question. I was someone that said I don't think they need to worry about goals this season. It looks like that could be an area of Arsenal that I was wrong about. Viewers, what do you think and feel? Is Lee Judges onto something here? Let me know in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts on these clips that you have seen today. Make sure you're subscribing, by the way, to the Football Terrace. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.